Hi everyone. Hi Majo. Hi Gina.
Hi,
How are you
Stephanie.
guys? How are you?
Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us of this another edition of Remote Room. So today we are talking about salary offer negotiation. So that's always a big topic. And thank you to everyone to is joining in on LinkedIn and YouTube. Please, you can comment anytime you want during the event, and we will talk about the questions that you leave us there. And yes, please subscribe as well on YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn and everything, all the social media that you know. Hi guys, how are you today? Almost Friday.
Almost Friday,
Almost
finally.
Friday.
It's a good
Yeah.
day.
It's always a good day. Thursday afternoon and evening. You're almost there to the weekend.
So can you guys tell me a little bit about like really small, because we've done a lot of remote rooms together as well, but what are your roles in TECLA and what have your experience here in the industry?
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Majo, and I'm a talent acquisition specialist here at TECLA. So basically, my job here is to work on the candidate side. I match them with the right opportunities, and I help them through the hiring process. That's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you, Majo. What about you, Gina?
I'm Gino Ferrand, and I'm the founder of Tekla. And yeah, I'm excited. This is what number of what edition of Remote Room is this? Sixth,
Number
sixth,
six, yes. Fourth
sixth
on English.
episode. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's such an interesting topic, obviously, to talk about salary and negotiation, especially today, where I feel like a lot of candidates in the industry, especially tech, have a lot of offers, and they're not all similar. No, they're like some are payroll, some are contractors, some are, these benefits, that benefit, and so different currencies. So it's kind of a more complex than ever to compare offers side by side.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I wanted to start like why everyone should negotiate their salaries, right? Even if we know like you don't have to negotiate just to be the one to I have the final word, but still there is some really good sides of that. Like, what are your thoughts in general, and then we can dive in.
I think that negotiation is an underrated skill, to be honest, and it's gonna be helpful for you in every aspects of your life. And when you're in a hiring process, it's super important to be prepared to negotiate. As you said, it's not that you have to negotiate just to do it, but you have to be smart about it, have like a strategy, do your research. And I mean, the best case scenario will be that you will have like the salary that you desire with a great benefits, but probably that's not going to happen all the time. So you better be prepared to do some negotiating.
Yes, for sure. What about you, Gina?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Majo's saying. I mean, we see probably, I mean, if I had to throw a number, we haven't calculated, no, but I think maybe half of the offers that we see from companies, and obviously we mostly work with companies in the U.S. and Canada, just for everyone that is here, maybe for the first time, and what we're doing is connecting talent in Latin America with companies in the U.S. and Canada, and so I mean, I think we see a fairly good amount of negotiation within offers, but not it's not like 100%. It's not always, but like
Mhm.
Maho was saying, I think you have to be prepared in the sense that you need to know how much you want to be making and earning at that position where you're getting the offer from, and the position that you're applying to. You have to know before applying even what the numbers would be for you to be happy, and what benefits and what would be a good opportunity for you economically. And even if at the end you get exactly what you want, you think it's fair, you're going to accept it, and you don't feel like you need to negotiate it, at least you were prepared in case you did need to.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
especially yeah. Well, there was like a few points that I want to like mention. Like, it's important to begin with the right foot, even if it's a new job or it's even like inside your current job and you're like getting a promotion. I don't know, or changing careers, anything. And it sets you like for future success, right? Because as Majo was saying, you already earned the skill, you already know what to do, you already are prepared for all these kind of scenarios.
Yeah, and that's actually a
Yeah.
good point. If you negotiate and you have a good like start pay on the job that you are starting, that's gonna be the base that they are going to use to calculate your raises and if you ask for a promotion, right? So sometimes maybe it doesn't look like a big difference, but if you see it long term, if you do the math long term, you will see that you through negotiation you can make a good amount of money, extra money that you thought.
Yeah.
Yes, and
And
that's
better
the
and better to
sorry.
make sure that you're going to be happy, right? That you're happy with the offer, and that, if there's something on your mind, you should bring it to the table, even if it's not a formal negotiation. If there's a concern, you should bring it forth, because I'm sure the company that is doing the hiring, they want to know that, so that they know that the person is happy joining the company. And we've seen some cases where candidates will accept the offer but keep looking, like they
Yeah,
stay in the market, and clearly they weren't happy with the offer, but they think it's a
You
stepping
were
stone.
so
It's
happy.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that that's kind of a waste of time for the candidate, because I
For
mean, if
everyone.
something was wrong, yeah, for everyone definitely, but I mean, the candidate thinking about just yourself, um,
Mhm.
it's still a waste of your time, because if you have an offer at a good company, you should rather negotiate than take something you're not happy with and then kind of stay in the market doing more interviews. And interviews are hard. Everyone knows they take a lot of time. There's take homes, live pairings. Sometimes the processes can be a little longer than we would want. So
yeah.
Yes,
Maybe it's better to be honest, like from the start.
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's definitely like for my next point, like in the talk, like we always sometimes it feels like it's well known, that you have to know the trends and the context that you are, the industry salary trends, where you base geographically, your technology stack, your years of experience, your career level, all of these. But most of the people, they don't actually do this research. What are your thoughts about it? Like, what's your experience? Did you feel like most of the candidates actually do it, or what do you think?
I think here we can have two scenarios, whether you oversell yourself or you undersell yourself. And this is like the only cause for this is that you don't do your research, honestly. So when you are starting a hiring process, the important thing is to go, like we have internet, we have I don't know, here we have some market studies that have been shared where you can see how much the people in your field, on your industry, with your level of experience are earning. So it's important to keep that in mind every time, so you don't say a number that is too high or too low. So I would even recommend to have a range rather than just a figure, you know. And
Hmm.
for this, like you are like it's in the slide here, you have to consider geographically, experience, the tech industry, the industry that you work at. That's super important when defining the range that you want.
Yeah, and like Majo was saying, I mean, you can oversell or you can undersell, and they're both probably equally as bad, because we
Hmm.
have seen a lot of cases where um, candidates have put in their salary. So all of the jobs on TECLA, right? They have the salary range disclosed, so the candidates are able to see what salary range the position is offering. But that's not the case for every job posting out there. And I feel that I've seen quite a few cases where the candidate puts in a number that's too high for the company, and the candidate was willing, like it was kind of like a very high number that they threw out there, but they it was actually not quite, very well calculated. It was just like a very high number, and then they come back to us and they say, oh, but I'm willing to take less. And by that point, the thing with the companies in the US and Canada, more so than in Latin America, is that they're not coming prepared to ask you to take less. If you ask for something that is way over their
Oh,
budget, they will just move on from your candidacy, like they will just decline you. And so it's different than in Latin America, where I think that if someone does throw a high number, the company will still be like, okay,
That,
well, let's talk about this. I think it happens more in Latin America than in the U.S. In the U.S., we have to tell the client, like, wait a second, we should talk to the candidate about this a little more, because the company is just like, oh, that's
yeah,
over our budget, like let's just move to the next candidate. And so it can be a bad move too. And
that's
obviously
really,
underselling is a bad move as
and
well.
that's
That's
really
something
cool.
that we actually do here at TECLA. This is something that we do here. It's not a rule, but usually when a good candidate has, like, that person doesn't have a good notion of the salary that they deserve, or in base with the industry, we start the conversation with them before sending them to the client, just to not for them to not getting like rejected just from that unrealistic salary range. So, but I think that that can be because there's a lot of people that are still working in the local market in tech, and they think that when you are applying to an international job, is you're going to make like a huge amount of money that is sometimes not realistic. But I would say that that happens a lot.
Yeah, what Dina was saying, like a company in the US will just pass on your application. That's really cultural, I think. I never thought about that point. It's a really good point. Because here in Latin America, I think you don't actually know how other markets work. Like you know the technology, you know, like you're well prepared, the years of experience, everything else, but you don't know how a hiring manager in the US or Canada actually thinks of your application, right? So that's another thing that we want to talk about, like the most common mistakes that we usually see on job offering, or like salary negotiation, when we like our experience, like what are the most common mistakes you've actually seen?
I think it's what we were speaking about, not doing your research, like not having a range. Like
Mm-hmm.
after you do your research on what is like currently the market paying for a position like yours, you have to keep in mind the level of experience that you have, and just based on on those factors, come to a range that you desire for yourself. And after that, everything, like a huge part of the negotiation process is having like the skills to communicate on an assertive way, and ask, being confident on yourself, but also being firm on what you want, and not being pushy, or maybe just close yourself to negotiating.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what you were saying about undervaluing, overvaluing yourself, like saying, and but also I think not considering like the full compensation package, right? It's not only just the money, just salary. It can be a lot more things, and apart from that, right? Remote work, career path. I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, one of the most common mistakes I think I would add to this too is if you're working with a recruiter, that's an agency recruiter like Tekla.
Uh
So
huh.
not not an internal corporate recruiter for the company, because obviously that recruiter is just gonna be looking at the best interest of the company. That's essentially all that recruiter cares about. But um, if you're working with a recruiter like Tekla, like an agency recruiter, then you should really use the recruiting team as a resource. You should have the conversations about salary, compensation, benefits, like what are you seeing in the market, how can I get the best offer possible economically, what can I go for, like I think I see that mistake a lot, where candidates feel, I mean, maybe they feel like they can't show that they are not quite informed to the recruiter. But if it's an agency recruiter, you can definitely use them to your to your benefit, because the recruiter is going to be trying to find, really, I mean, a good recruiter is trying to find the best for both. like the best ideal scenario for both, which is definitely a good offer for the candidate, because the recruiter doesn't want the candidate to leave after a month because they didn't like the offer. So
Hmm.
so it's actually the best resource is using the recruiter and asking the recruiter, give me data, give me statistics, how much can I ask, what can
I
I get?
agree.
Yeah, contact
Recruiters, I
Majo, and
agree.
yeah,
Definitely.
The recruiters here,
Love it,
sorry.
love it, especially for the younger candidates, the junior people that they are starting to interview. I love when they ask for advice, for tips, and I don't think it's bad if you are starting your career and you don't know how much you're
Hmm.
supposed to be earning. So don't be afraid to say, "Hey, I don't have a range right now, but I will do some research and get back to you later." Like that's a totally valid response,
yeah,
but yes, definitely you
yeah,
have
Especially
recruiters on your side.
market, right? If it's different markets, you don't actually know how it works, or
yeah.
different.
I've seen some threads on LinkedIn where mostly, I mean, my network is filled with developers and designers and our tech talent, no? But I see the threads where people complain about recruiters not wanting to share the salary. And then in the most common mistakes, I see that we put um don't talk about, like, don't be the first one to talk about salary. But I mean, the thing is that the recruiter needs to give you the salary range. If they don't, really, you should walk away. You shouldn't give any information if they're not willing to disclose, even if it's not publicly available. But when they contact you, you reply saying, okay, but please share with me a little bit more about the compensation before we move forward. If the recruiter says I can't, like, I can't give you that information, then you shouldn't throw any number out there, because
Doesn't make
I don't
sense that,
it's not a
yeah,
two-way street. I feel it's not fair. And I think, like, someone asked,
That's
said on the comments, they said they feel uncomfortable when they get asked how much they're making at their current job. They don't have to disclose it. They don't have to disclose. Depends who is asking, right? If it's a recruiter that is going to use it to help you, and is not maybe disclosing it to the company, but maybe it's just going to use it to, work through the exercise of finding out what a good offer will be for you, that's fine. But yeah, definitely that can be uncomfortable, and I don't think that candidates
it's a
are
personal
required to
question.
ask. No?
And also, you don't
Yes.
have to give any numbers of what you're currently making if they don't give you at least a range at first. I
Yeah, at
think
least a range. That's
at
right.
least a range, and you don't have to say like, hey, I earn this amount of money. You can honestly just say, I am looking for this salary range, but I'm open to negotiate. Like it's a valid response. But yeah, you don't have to say what you're currently making if you're not feeling comfortable doing it, definitely.
So that's
Yeah, I mean,
that's the tip
at,
for Chameleon 100.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you shouldn't get an offer based on how much you're making now. You need to be trying to get an offer based on, like, market value
Mark
and what we talked about, all the skills that you have, your seniority, and what the market is willing to
paying.
pay for your profile. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're
Yes.
being super underpaid, and some companies, that make bad practices are going to take that to offer you less than you could be making at other good companies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a red flag altogether, really, because if a company is doing that, then that means that they just want to pay you a little bit more than what you're making now, regardless of the market, which means that they're willing to risk losing you, because they're gonna, if you, like what Majo is saying, if you're
And
significantly undervalued and being underpaid, then they're gonna pay you 10% more than what you're making now, but that's still 30% less than what you can be getting from other recruiters and companies. Then they're risking really losing you. So it seems like a bad company to work for, like,
Yeah,
just
definitely.
not very smart.
yeah, that's
Now
that's some. It can be really about this question. Sorry. So Diego asked on YouTube, like, "Hi, when a company asks you first about your salary expectation, is it correct to have as base salary your current one?" I think that's the whole talk that we just did, right?
yeah,
So maybe you're underpaid right now, so you have to do the research, you have to do the industry trends, and even if it's locally or it's remote or it's a US company or a Canadian company, we know it's not the same as a local one in Latin America. So
yeah.
what do you other thoughts about this question?
in my opinion, I think, as you said, it all depends on the situation. But I think you shouldn't put the salary base as the amount of money that you are currently making. For me, you would have to have a salary increase of at least, I don't know, X percent of money, 10%, 15%, whatever the case it is for you. But if you are going to move to a different company, you're going to leave your current position for another opportunity, it has to be because of a
Hello.
better benefit, at least if not in salary, um, you know, uh, PTOs, bonuses, healthcare. You have to keep that in mind. But I would definitely say ask for more than you are currently making. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely, and definitely the growth trajectory that you can have at the company too, because you also don't want to take an offer with a company that is gonna offer you, maybe significantly more than what you're making now in benefits and salary, but it's still gonna be stagnant. That means that you're not gonna have like a way to really grow within the company. But yeah, that's harder to know though. That's almost impossible to know what it's like the dating period versus the first few dates, or like a blind
You
date
don't really,
almost. Like you
you
don't
don't
really
really
know until
start dating.
You
you're
really
in a
know.
relationship, until you're
Yeah.
married.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's a good,
Maybe it works now.
that's a good
So,
And
comparison.
you see the reality.
but okay. So I want to talk about the perks and the benefits, because it's another thing that you can actually put in the in like you can negotiate before accepting a job offer, right? So what are your thoughts about it, especially right now that we are in the remote work industry, right? Here at TECLA we connect Latin American professionals with US Canadian companies. So what are your thoughts about it? Even if it's not remote, or I don't know, what are your thoughts in general about negotiating person benefits?
Well, I'll go first. But I think benefits are super important. And nowadays, we work with companies that offer great perks that you probably, if you work in the local market, you have no idea that they are a thing. But even like you have to balance the situation. Maybe you are willing to sacrifice a lower monthly salary, but they will give you more flexibility in your schedule, or you will have like a bonus, or maybe your healthcare package is great. So you just have to balance the situation and be sure that you are happy. But yes, I mean, ask for what benefits they are offering. Probably you don't know, and they are offering, I don't know, equity, healthcare. So always ask about it.
What do you
Yeah,
think, Gio?
definitely. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I think that more and more companies are trying to, offer more perks to support their team members in many different ways. And I think that companies are, um, I think that that's something that, like Majo was saying, I think a lot of people care about. They're not like that optional anymore. People care about flexibility, and people care about, having certain access to perks that are going to help them be, avoid burnout and have like a good balance, right? And that's why sometimes there's some job offers that don't have, especially when they're like international. Sometimes the vacation and the time off can be a little different than through payroll, and
Mhm.
that's where it can vary quite a bit. And so it's better to understand like what the PTO time is like, because you definitely want to have enough time to to have a balanced work life situation.
Especially when it's different, right? Like what you've been used to. I see a lot of, I think not anymore, but like unlimited PTO. But
Great.
what that? Yeah, is that 1 week, 2 weeks? Is it really unlimited? So you can always ask, and especially what we were saying before, you can always get the help of your recruiter, like Majo, or like a career advisor that it was helping you. I don't know, anything that it's available for you.
I love it when candidates, they do a lot of questions, because honestly, I feel like the communication is fluid, like we're being honest. They decide if they really want to invest their time on the
Mhm.
whole processes that we know can be super long, sometimes stressing. So don't be afraid to ask, so you have as much information as possible from the start.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, and well, when you are negotiating, like one of the best skills to is like the communication, but especially like the importance of that likability, right? And that's other, like it can be another whole remote room talk part, but like you have to actively listen, make the right questions. Like, what are other tips that you can provide the people that are watching? How to get those skills and how to be more likable for the counterpart.
Okay, so what I always say is confidence, like work on your confidence, build your
Mhm.
confidence. And I think that that's important in the whole hiring process, not only when negotiating. It is
Mhm.
important from the first interview, but really, in order to build your confidence, you should know yourself, know what you bring to the table, and be sure of that. Like, if you are asking for X amount of money, you will have to basically show that you deserve it. And in order to sound confident and be sure of yourself, you have to believe in yourself. Like, that sounds super cheesy and cliche, but it's the truth. Like, if you don't believe you are worthy of that salary, then you're probably going to be kind of shy, nervous, and that's not going to sound good to the hiring manager. I don't know, that's not going to put you in a great place. So do your research, be confident in what you have to offer that company, and just do it in a respectful, humble way. I would say that.
What do you think, Gina, of those?
Yeah, no, no, I totally agree. I mean, at the end of the day, the obviously everyone wants to um, work at a place where pay and negotiating salaries is something pretty objective. Like, it should be based on your work, your the quality of your work, your productivity, and obviously not if your manager likes you or not. But at the end of the day, like, the reality is we are all humans. We're working with humans, and it's not a machine usually that's calculating your growth, your opportunities, the offers. And so yeah, it's definitely important to have a report with your managers, and in general approach the negotiation table with that sort of predisposition of making it work, and just I think that's it's hard to give a tip on, but I agree that the number one would be what Majo said, to definitely be confident though in what you want, and understand that it's going to be a conversation. And maybe sometimes candidates can be very nervous, and I think people in general, like, you're nervous to approach the negotiation, and you probably prepare a lot what you're going to say, and you forget that it's going to be a conversation at the end of the day. It's not just like yeah, like, okay, I presented this, what's your answer, like yes or no. It's probably going to be a conversation, so just being prepared for that.
Let's
So we have,
normalize also discussing like the whole
yes,
money salary thing. I think that the thing that it's seen as a taboo, it makes us approach it like with stress,
like
and
a
it's,
problem. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be a
it's just a conversation, as Gina said.
conversation. Yeah. So just see as one of our invites before, like our guest here in remote room is asking a really good question. So, Gino, Stephanie, Maria Jose, what's the best time during the process to negotiate? Right away in the first meeting, wait until the offer has been extended. I think we discussed it a little bit about this, but what are your thoughts about this specific question, Ma?
I think, and this is something that we do here at TECLA, it's not the case every time, but I
Mhm.
think every recruiter approaching a candidate should do it with a salary range at first. So if this is an opportunity that sounds interesting for you, you are more than free to say, hey, okay, perfect. You're not gonna say, hey, I want this amount of money, and that's it. No, you're gonna open the conversation, ask about the company, ask about the project, the responsibilities. If that sounds like something that you want to invest your time on, then you are going to say in the most assertive way, I am looking for this. I'm very happy at my position right now, but I would consider participating or changing jobs with this range, and this is a range that you should have like prepared with your research and everything. And then as you move, you leave it like that, right? Because now the recruiter knows what you want. So then that's the time for the recruiter to be honest and say, hey, maybe the company doesn't have that budget. So I rather say that to you to save your time and mine, but
Hmm.
that's something that you can do. And maybe if you start moving forward in the process, at some point you will be like investing more time on it. And I think once you have proven to the company that you are a good candidate, it's a great moment to start the negotiation. That would be more towards the end of the process. I don't know if you have like anything there, or you
Yeah.
agree.
No, no, it's a great question. We were talking about it a little bit before before we started the stream, and I mean it's a super interesting question because obviously it also depends like what type of process you're in. Because if you're a passive candidate, I know Josias is always a passive candidate because companies are going after him and constantly. I mean, he's getting offers to to go to new companies and new places. And if you're in that situation, you're a passive candidate, you're getting approached by a recruiter, then you have the ability to negotiate in the first stage because they're coming to
Right.
you, you're hired, you're not looking for it, you didn't apply to this opportunity, and I think you have some more leverage. Obviously, if you've applied through just a general job board, then you're not going to have much leverage to negotiate right in the beginning, until obviously the company has selected you and taken you through a little bit further in the process. So it does depend on that, but I would say that you can negotiate in the beginning, you can negotiate at the end. It can be both. You can negotiate a little bit in the beginning to make sure that you're in the right ballpark, and then at the end obviously you're going to actually kind of go through the details on the offer and make sure that it's the final deal. So I think you can do both. Whatever you do, if you do go through a full on negotiation, if it's in the beginning and it's like, okay, this is what the terms would be, and that's your negotiation. So if that is a full negotiation in the beginning, my opinion is that if you go through the process and the process was everything you expected it to be, like the job didn't change as the
Mhm.
interview went along, it was the same job, you negotiated everything in the beginning. I think that negotiating at the end doesn't feel anymore like negotiating. It feels a little bit like we
Pushing.
had negotiated something and now it feels like
Something
because the
that
offer is made. Yeah, it I mean definitely has a different feeling to it, but it really does depend just on how much you've negotiated. I mean, in the beginning, if you've just talked about some sort of like the groundwork, then it's fine. At the end you're going to actually negotiate the final salary, the benefits and stuff like that. So whenever you do it and it's final, it should be final. I think that's my opinion, unless you have another offer and it's true, or even if you wanted to bluff, then good luck with your
True.
bluff. And it's like poker. No, it's like poker. If you bluff, okay, if it
Yeah.
works out, great. But at the end of the day, if you do have another offer, then of course you would, you know, say that, tell the company that, and that would be a different case. But it's a great question. I mean, I think that it's good to lay the groundwork. You definitely don't want to spend your time on a process where it's not the right fit economically, or it's not the right fit compensation wise. Then I think that the company should be transparent about that, and so should the candidate. So,
Another condition like the ones that you mentioned, like if it's another offer or something like that, is like when further in the process you happen to know more about the position, the role, and it's actually has more leadership in the role that you didn't know at the beginning, or has like more projects about it that you didn't know that wasn't disclosed at the beginning. I think you can discuss from that point of view. Like, yeah, my if you did negotiate at the beginning and you said I want XYZ, and but that was not the role that I thought it was, and I'm still interested, but this role it appears
yeah.
to be more like a leadership position, or I have to mentor a lot of other developers. I don't know, any conditions that happen to change, but if of course if nothing has changed, it can feel um, especially when you don't use the proper wording, right? It can feel like kind of push you towards the company, and it's only because you're making an offer and negotiating more.
Yeah, but
That's
at the end of
why.
the day, it's always it's still totally ethical, and there's no problem with it. If you do it like respectfully at any point, it's a two-way street, and
Mhm.
it's not all about respecting the company. It's about respecting the candidate, and both need to be respected. And if you do feel like, hey, I do want to negotiate this, then you have a right to. I mean, you haven't started, you haven't signed anything. Like, I mean, it's just an opportunity to work together, but it's not finalized. So I think a normal company should understand that too, and as long as it's done, like I said, I think respectfully and professionally, then
Professional, yeah,
that's
Perfect.
fine. Yeah,
that's no problem with that. And I also think that there is no problem. Well, as a recruiter, I don't see an issue with someone mentioning, hey, like the salary that they want, the range they want from the beginning. I think it's completely fair for them, for us. So if you want to bring that subject from the beginning, that's okay. It's clear. It's good to be clear on what you want to save yourself time. And the actual meaning of negotiating, I mean, having the conversation to come to an agreement, would be if you are deep in the hiring process. That would be like
Yes.
maybe in the final stages, but there is no problem with having mentioning the salary that you want from the beginning.
yeah, no, I
Perfect.
totally agree.
Thank you, Josias, for that question. That was really insightful. So
That's a good.
another tip we had here, well, that we prepare is like asking the proper questions, right? I think there's a lot of tips and there's a lot of like what to say. And at the end of the remote room, we're gonna share an example of an email that you can send out. But what other question do you think that right at the end that you're towards the negotiation, like what you will say? I don't know. Any tips that you can provide?
I
Majo.
Majo, you
mean,
go first.
thank you so
I
much.
That gives
thought
me
it
time to think.
was
It gives
Anyway,
me time to think. That way, Majo
no,
goes
like
first. I
you
I
have
are going
hadn't
to
moments
been
to
flip
think.
my
10 seconds.
answers. I know
Like
it.
I lost my connection.
But
Okay.
I think my Wi-Fi is not working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But this is a good question actually, and the answer is that you have to be prepared and have in mind like what you want, and be smart about how you're going to approach the conversation with the company, right? Because you probably have a range, but there is always a chance that you can get more benefits. Like even if you are happy with what you are receiving, if you don't want to negotiate because you're happy with it, you think the benefits are great, as we mentioned, that's okay. But if you do some research, or maybe you know that you can have like a somehow a raise, or you can, I don't know, ask for more flexibility, I don't know, any type of benefit, you can always ask and see if there is a room for that. Ask
Mhm.
about the benefits besides the best pay, as it is on the slide. And also I think an interesting question is like asking about future promotions or salary raises. That's also a good question. Or how much time would have to pass until I have the chance to talk about a promotion. Of course, that's probably just something to a question that you can ask, but just do it in a professional way. Like, let's find a balance in like being firm in what you want, and also not too pushy, or not sound like you're kind of desperate or anything like that. So
You
yeah,
gotta
those.
career path, right? And in that way, it can be more like flexible.
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
conversation, as Gino said, it's a conversation, and all of your questions and your requests are super valid as long as you know how to say it and how to handle the conversation. Now
yeah.
your
But
turn, Gino. Go ahead.
now that I have time to think, and
No, he
actually,
just
like
Googled it. Google
it,
it.
yeah, yeah. Go to Google to see what they say on Quora or Reddit. But you took the slide away, Steph. I was gonna point out something on the slide. I was actually gonna say that I don't like the first question. Can I negotiate this offer? I mean,
Yes,
Okay.
offers are
that's a
always
good.
negotiable. Everything is negotiable, and I think that um, l- because I mean, everything in this scenario is
Maybe
negotiable to
we
an
have word
extent. And
here.
Yeah, then like I think that asking that question kind of puts you at a disadvantage actually, because how can that end? I mean, if you say, "Can I negotiate?" and they say no, what happens
Okay,
after that?
well,
You know? Yeah, it's
yeah,
like all right,
I think
well
I think there we
then
have like that's not the one.
yeah,
right,
definitely
right, yeah.
I
that
think my
one.
pen.
But given that really the question isn't like can I negotiate it, but rather like should I? You know, and that's a rhetorical question for yourself.
For
Like when you do
yourself.
get the offer, it's like, what do I think of this offer? And I think that I would probably be concise. I mean that's probably my negotiation style, and also how I see uh, the candidates that succeed in their negotiations with companies, because that's what we're doing. Like as recruiters, we just kind of like the meme with Michael Jackson and the popcorn. Like at the end of the day, we're watching and spectating, and we are worried that they both find a deal, but at the end of the day, we're not the ones making the decision. And um, when I've seen candidates succeed is definitely when it's an easy negotiation. Like if you're not going to negotiate, figure out what it is you want to negotiate, what it is you want, and put it forward. And I mean, definitely don't be like, oh, what about this? Can this be this? Can that be that? And then a day later, like, what about this? Can we change this? Like, come up with what you want, present it, shoot, definitely probably shoot a little bit higher than what you would ideally want, and then there's going to be compromise. In most negotiations I've seen, there's some sort of compromise, and sometimes maybe you get exactly what you asked for. But yeah, I think
We
that's just
have,
important.
before continuing like with the final tips that we have for everyone, we have another question that is kind of different, but I think it's really cool. So Valeria on YouTube is saying, "Hi, what can I do if the company where I'm working doesn't want to raise my salary? How can I do negotiate a raise in the same company?" I think it's kind of different, the topic of the whole talk, but yeah, what are your thoughts about it when you're willing to grow in the same company and not
But
actually
they do
change?
want.
Mm-hmm.
I think like we should have to evaluate like what's going on there. Maybe they are not in the best moment financially. That's a valid reason, okay. But if they're doing like the job of two, three people and they don't want to give you a raise, a salary raise, then you should seriously start looking for other opportunities. In my opinion, that's it. Like you
Vale.
should start doing like a job search. And I think the best thing that you can do, I mean, if they said no, I would totally like look for a new job. But maybe you have to use all of your, I mean, your,
Through TECLA, if if she's a developer,
yes.
designer, and any tech position.
Yeah, go to
I mean,
TECLA.
once
Will
you
help.
have explained your manager, I'm good at this, I have like my results, the results of my work here are this and that, I have improved, this amount of not this number on the sales, anything like that. If you are like, if you deserve that pay rise and you are showing them why, then the logic and human answer would be for you to receive one. And if they are not doing that for you, if they are not paying you what you deserve, then just go to LinkedIn, update your
Maybe.
profile, and start applying to new positions. That's my
Ma-
advice, and you will
love
find a
the
better way.
honesty.
You will be happier.
Yeah.
That's
I think that the what I would say is that the company needs to have a conversation about it though with her, right? Like if she approaches the company and says, I want to evaluate my compensation. They need
Mhm.
to set a time. You need to set a time and you need to have a conversation about it. Even if the company said, no, we can't do it right now, economically we're going through some tough times, and we can't do it right now. I mean, what is the outlook then though? Like can't do it right now, but things are going to get better. There's this time frame. Let me develop a plan. A
Is
good
there a plan?
manager, a good company, exactly, would put forth a plan. I mean, if they're really just closing the conversation, like you want to open the conversation formally, you're like, can we have a talk? Can we discuss this? And the other party just says, no, we cannot discuss this. Then I agree with Majo. I mean, that's not a good place to work. I think. But as long as there's a conversation, then yeah, there needs to be reasons, and there needs to be a plan, something that that you're working towards. I mean, I'm thinking from the side of the company too, right? Like that's what you want to
Yeah.
retain the people that you want to work at the company. Then you need to have a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and if you are like a good uh, an asset to the company, they are most likely going to give you options. They
yeah,
will mention that plan. They are not just gonna say no. They are going to give you like an option
Yeah.
to
It's really
retain.
weird. Someone says like, no, no, sorry.
That would
No, that
definitely be like the
yeah.
worst
I
boss
think
ever.
like I want to think that companies are smart enough to know that they can't just close the conversation like that. But I mean, definitely like Maho was saying, I mean, you do lose leverage if you try to open the conversation and the company says we can't do this right now, we can't have a conversation about it, then I think you lose a lot of leverage if you just go away
Mhm,
and continue working like nothing happened, because then a
mhm.
company knows that they can just be like, no, like we're not doing races right now. That's it. Then they know that they have
You're
the
okay with that.
leverage, right?
Like, okay
Yeah,
with that.
that you've accepted it. No? That's like fine.
We have
Um,
another cool question before going to the rest of the tips and the final example. It's another question from Camille Leon 100 from YouTube. So he says, I have another question. I'm talking with a company now. It's a junior position. The recruiter said that after 6 months, salary will go up. Should I demand it in writing so that
yes,
that wording that the recruiter did said? What are your thoughts about that?
yeah, absolutely. In writing, otherwise it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Needs to be in writing for sure. And I think that's a good place to be in. Like if a company is able to put forth a plan that's like, hey, this will happen in 3 months, this will happen in 6 months, this is going to happen in a year. Like if you truly believe that that is like they're making an effort and that's going to be a good place for you to work, then I think that yeah, just get it in writing, and I think that that's good, definitely.
Definitely.
Awesome. That's the answer, Camila. We hope it helps you in the process. So we're gonna say the final tips, and one of them, like the first one, it's the one that we've been talking about, like know your context, right? Especially where your tech stack, years of experience, what other things you believe that is really important for everyone to actually do an introspective like research. Majo.
I think, thanks again. You have to keep in mind the area that you are currently at. I mean, I don't know, a software developer in New York is not going to earn the same amount of money that someone in Latin America. So keep that in mind. The type of company that you are applying to, maybe it's a big company, maybe it's not a not so big company. Have that in mind. Like, do your research, find a range that works for the market for a professional in your area. If you're a software developer, I don't know, if you work with Ruby, you have to know how much a Ruby on Rails, a Ruby developer is earning with the amount of years of experience that you have. And then you have to think in terms of the company. If it's a leading position, I don't know, if it's a company, if it's a local company, if it's an international company. And also your soft skills, I would say, are super important as well, because they are like, leadership is not something that is easily found. If you're a great communicator, if you know how to sell yourself, I'm sure that you will be able to get a good deal at the end. So yeah.
Yeah. There's and like I am gonna answer this, but there was a question. It's kind of related. There was a question earlier on that I think we didn't see because it was kind of early on in the stream. But Jose Luis Roberto asked, like, he basically asked if
Oh,
there's an opportunity, like if there's an offer that is less than what he was, wanting. Um, and it's his first job, so should he still look for a new opportunity or take it? The market at the end of the day, and this is good for this slide, like the market isn't perfect. It's not like you submit your resume somewhere and because your CV has certain things, then your salary needs to be that, or like an equivalent of something. Like the market's not perfect, and at the end of the day, if it's your at any point, if you need the job, then you should take a job that makes sense for you. Like there's no shame or there's no problem in taking an offer to work at a company where you think it's going to be a good job. And but at the same time, if you are able to wait because you think that there could be better opportunities, then you can do that. I just think it's like the context of your situation as well. Like if you need a job immediately, then and the job looks good, you have an offer, it's a little bit less than what you were wanting, but you can take it. And I think that in that case, you do keep looking for you do keep looking at the market. I mean, unfortunately for that company, they're paying you less than what you wanted, and you have the right to look for, like, have your ears sort of perked up for other opportunities. But also, like, back to what we're saying about the slide in general, like, know your context. I think that like I was saying, like, the market isn't perfect. So when you do see that, like Majo was saying, like a rails engineer with 10 years, this is what they're getting paid, it's not automatic. You have to see if you would be able to get that job, because some of these companies, like, they're very picky, as we can attest. Some of these companies, like, the salaries are really good, they look great on paper, the opportunities are good, but it's hard to get the offer. It's not like everyone is getting these offers. There's many people that apply and they fall short and they get feedback and they improve on those skills, and then they come back, and then some months later they get that job for that salary. But um, I would also, like, avoid leaving this stream thinking that, oh, I'm underpaid because 5-year rails person is making this for this company. It's still not, all of these opportunities are still not, like, for everyone. I still think you have to apply, go through the process, see if you can make it through. Yeah, it's still hard to get these opportunities, and if you can get them, then that's really says a lot about where you are in your career. But it's not just a matter of time either. It's not just like, oh, well, 6 years of experience. There's certain skills that we're seeing that a lot of companies are looking for, and a lot of
Like my
candidates are failing.
Yes, like
soft
the
skills,
soft skills and all of
English,
that. Yeah.
leadership
And
skills.
also, there is a lot of people that reply to me when I approach them saying that they are not so much money motivated. Like they, as long as they are like receiving challenges on the position, they are learning, they are willing to take less, a less amount of money. So it depends on your own situation, as Gino said, and you don't want to be unrealistic and maybe miss out a good company or a good opportunity just because you are not they are not like offering the huge amount of money that you thought you would
Yeah.
receive.
And I've seen it like that. I've seen this exact case where there was a company that made an offer to a developer in Colombia, I think, and the offer was good. I saw it and I really liked it for the person's profile, and it was at a great company. And I remember that he came back saying he was going to reject it. No, he didn't even negotiate, which I found extremely weird.
Odd.
But that,
Mhm.
yeah, odd. But that he wasn't going to negotiate. He was going to decline it because he had spoken to a friend, and the friend had told him that he should probably wait for, like, this number. I can't remember the numbers, but that he should wait for this kind of number. Uh,
Like
but
salary wise.
Yeah, salary wise. Now maybe the friend has this job, right? But you're not the friend. Like,
Yeah,
You're a
you are
you're
different
you.
person.
So
awesome.
yeah, and that's fine. If you think, like, I have the same skills as my friend, so that's good. That's a good point of reference. Like, I have very similar skills, so that's good. I'm gonna wait. But at the same time, like, it's I don't think people are very good at assessing how comparable their skills are to other people. It's very difficult. And so I think that that can also be a trap to some people, thinking that, like, there's always going to be something better. Um, I think it's also hard because you have to go through that selection process to get that offer, for it to be actually comparable to the offer that you have on hand. So
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And like Majo mentioned it at the beginning, like salary range always better as a single figure. when, especially when you don't know, when you are in that research topic and research position, or even like when you really know but you are willing to sacrifice certain things for career path or anything between. But we have something cool to share because we have our this year compensation report. So everyone, if they go to our website, I'm going to show it here. You can download our compensation report only with your email. So that's like a first standing point, right? You can know about the trends, the industry trends, the Latin American trends, about compensation wise. But then after, you have to figure out all of the other things Majo and Gino were mentioning, right? Your communication skills, your years of experience, your English skills. You are not your friend, you're yourself, and try to figure out what kind of what point of your career are you, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
because the report was done with data from people that have gotten hired. So it's
exactly.
like I was saying earlier, right? It's our report on what we're seeing companies hire for in Latin America, like mostly US companies, when they do end up hiring, right? You don't see all of the candidates that didn't make it through to that, to those offers. And so it's still, I think, a very competitive market to get some of these offers, but it's a great, I think it's still a great report to read on, like, even if you're not, like Steph was saying, like, even if you're not at that level, or you're missing some skills that you're working on, that this is what's happening. Like, these are like what companies are paying the people that are getting the jobs. So it's still, I think, a very good indicator, but it's not like the Bible of compensations.
Yeah, no, like nothing is written in stone, right?
Yeah,
Everything,
exactly.
It depends. Yeah.
it depends. Yeah, there's a really good song in Spanish, but I cannot sing it
Depende.
because it's
Ah, sí, that's a good one.
in
Jarabe
Majo
de
got the
palo.
yes, exactly. So all the people will know the reference in there. So we are almost there. So we have a few more tips about it, like be confident about your delivery, understand your leverage. What else? What other tips comes to mind? Like take the right amount of time. I also think is proper to prepare your counter offer if you're willing to negotiate. Don't hesitate to just say an
Yes.
answer and overvaluing or undervaluing yourself. Do you have other tips for everyone who's watching before sharing the example that we made?
I would say, as you mentioned, prepare yourself. If you are going to do it at some point in an interview process, if the recruiter asks the question or brings up the subject, you have to be prepared, and you have to. If you're starting like the whole negotiation thing, you maybe want to have a script if that helps you. After you do your research and just have a script, hey, this is the range that I'm looking for because I am good at this. I have this amount of experience in this field. I have done this in my current position. So you can have that, like maybe a script, and maybe practice saying it, in the mirror, so you can be sure and sound confident. And as go forward in your career, it's going to be you're going to be better at it.
Your thoughts,
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree. And like putting in the effort, I think shows a lot to the company, because I've seen candidates that have been working at a company for like a year or two, and he emailed me and he wanted some feedback on what he was going to write to the company to like negotiate his salary, like get a raise. It was nothing like gigantic. He just wanted like a raise for like that, like an annual kind of raise, and he wrote up an email with like all of the reasons, all of his achievements with like
know.
numbers. So it was like, I improved the speed of this by 25%. I did this by, and it was like very, and I was like, well, that's really great, because obviously those, all of those things are probably hard to quantify for his manager, but still then his manager knows that it's not like he woke up that morning and decided like,
I,
I want to have this
yeah.
conversation.
Yes,
Yeah, like he was
money.
working towards something where he feels like he has provided this value to the company, that he has. And I thought that really cool. It was obviously from a developer who I think is a great developer and a great professional, and just has the right, like, he's very methodical and very detail oriented. So obviously, very obvious then why he decided to sort of do all that write up. And I thought
Project.
that paid off. Yeah, and then the company did give him a really good raise, so it was successful.
Yeah, especially when you disclose it in that way, even if the company is not in the position to actually do it. Oh, that's the thing that we were saying before.
That's a question.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, to actually be open about that discussion and be open about the feelings, because it's not only a like a talk. It's the feeling that the candidate, that the employee was having, right,
Yeah.
about work and about his achievements.
Yeah, and use writing as a tool, like as a tool for your negotiation. Meaning, if you're not, maybe if you're nervous, I think a lot of people are nervous. It's negotiation. No one likes to negotiate. No? It's uncomfortable, and so for everyone. And so I think that writing is a good tool,
Yeah,
because
Yeah, we
definitely.
you put some of those important thoughts into your, you can write those down because you want your manager, it's like, please review this and then we can chat maybe next week, review this that I've put together. I think that's a good approach too.
Yeah, it's a
so
good way
right
to
now,
start a conversation.
sorry, Marco, I didn't hear it.
No, I agree with you. It's a good way to start the conversation and then have like a one-to-one with your manager. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why we discovered one. There's lots and lots of examples on the internet. We already know that, but we found this one that was really good one. So prepare your phones, your computers, anything, and you can screenshot um, these texts that I'm gonna show to everyone in a bit. So here is like this is a basic example, right, about like how to negotiate an offer, a job offer, like always before like thinking about the offering, the packaging, and of course you make sure to actually you understood the offer, so you didn't mention anything that was not in there, or that was in there and you mentioned it wrong or something like that. And then like a small paragraph stating your position, right, about the what we were saying, a salary range, and then like, please let me know when we can discuss the salary further. So at the end, it's like the first point, like the first step to actually have then a one-to-one with the hiring manager, or even after in your career with your manager. So I'm guessing everyone screenshotted this. You can do it, of course, afterwards on YouTube, because this video is gonna be on YouTube. But yeah, we wanted to share that because there's lots and lots of examples, but not all of them are like complete, and not all of them are like in a good place, we think. And I think that's it for today. Like we have more than an hour talking about this. If you have any final thoughts or conclusions for today's talk about salary and offering, please be my guest, Majo and Gino, for your final thoughts.
Okay, I guess I have to go first. So just super quick, super quick. Do your research, um, like prepare yourself, and then believe in that you are worthy of that amount of money. Just that's it for me.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I think that we've gone through some like really good information there, and like Majo said, I think be confident, do your research, and just be prepared. Yeah, be prepared even before you apply to a position. Be prepared to, have the confidence that you're going to get the offer. So be ready for when that happens to make sure that it's, what you want it to be in terms of salary and benefits. And then I guess one last thing I was thinking about was that, you know the company that offers more in the in that final offer or whatever stage. I like it when candidates actually come back and they say, hey, I have these offers like this one, like they tell us, right, like this one, I prefer this one because I want to work at this company, I want to work with these technologies, but the salary is a little bit different than the other one, and not necessarily because that company offered less, it's going to be always lagging the other company, because some companies have like the ability to really grow within the company in new leadership opportunities, new management opportunities, or just grow, develop, take courses, like actually improve your skills. And really not all companies have that. A lot of companies just have like kind of like a very low percentage like annual increase type thing, like just like a routine kind of like normal increase. And so I think that it doesn't say everything about the company, the first number that you get. And so if you can negotiate it to be at the other level and they have a better growth plan, then I think it's you made a huge much better decision. So
Yes, of course. If you can believe in the product and the company, it's always a win-win situation, right? So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's been watching on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are more than 500 subscriptions over there, so that's amazing. And thank you, everyone who's been commenting and all the questions. Please always do it. And you can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can message Majo, always, our recruiter here. You can also message me and Gino if you have any questions, and go to TECLA.io to actually download the report. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks.
thank you,
Bye.
Steph. Bye, Majo.